Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Free to Grow. This morning we are off getting ready to make syrup. So I'm taking the dogs out here as I'm going to be in the kitchen getting some stuff done while Rob is setting up our DIY syrup making station. He's getting a fire going right now, and I'm getting the dogs outside. He actually comes over here. He doesn't know I'm filming. Gives me and the baby a little hug. We are pregnant with our first child, due in 4 months. So we are mid-morning here. The sun is shining bright. I think it's probably around 10, maybe 11 in the morning. And we've already had breakfast, but I am getting ready to start cleaning up the kitchen. So last night, or yesterday actually, we made yogurt for the very first time from some raw whole milk that we get from our herd share locally. And so I'm just putting the seal back on our Instapot here, which is what we use to make the yogurt. We were watching somebody else's video and they had said that the seal can hold flavor from other things that you've cooked in Instapot. So I'm glad we saw that before we made the yogurt. We took it off, and yeah, I'm getting the Instapot put away here. Just recently, since I've hit my second trimester, I have been doing all sorts of organizing and decluttering projects, and this is one of the things that I got done in the last couple of weeks. Rob ordered this, I believe it's a 5-tier shelf off of Amazon, and I got to organize all of our appliances for the kitchen that were previously clogging up a lot of our cabinet space. It's funny because one of the things that people notice about this kitchen is how open it is, and they always say, wow, you have so much cabinet space. And it really didn't feel like that with all of our electric appliances plugging up the cabinets. So like I said, since I hit my second trimester, I've been feeling a lot better, and I've been doing a lot of nesting, and that has included just reorganizing things, getting things the way that I like them and want them. And I feel like we've been putting that off. We've been in this house for a year now, and I just have been reluctant to settle in, I guess. And now I'm really feeling the pressure to do that. And it felt really great to get everything organized, because then I got to vacuum out all the cabinets and wipe them down and start really organizing all of our dishes. So then there's some Tupperware that belongs to my mother-in-law. I'm just putting it by the door so I don't forget to give it back to her. Put it in the car. And there was some grill accessories that need to go out to the garage with the grill. And then yesterday, my husband made Rice Krispie treats. I don't know if I would say from scratch, but he did make this pan of them. He's been craving them for some reason, and I'm just transferring them into some Tupperware so that they last for a week and a half or so, if we don't eat them all first. So then I am just moving on. I'm trying to get the kitchen cleaned up. It'll be lunch soon, so there's always dishes to do, and my husband does not like doing dishes. I don't know if anybody likes doing dishes, but to me, they're just another task that needs done. I did a lot of dishes As a kid, we did not have a dishwasher. My mom always said, I have 5 dishwashers, referring to her children, of course. And she had no desire to have a dishwasher. And as an adult, I have only had a dishwasher in one of the houses I've lived in, and I used it as a drying rack as I did the dishes by hand. So I don't know if I would use one even if we had it. Alright, so being in the kitchen has reminded me that I haven't taken some of my supplements today. So here I'm taking some Shilajit tablets and some freeze-dried oyster capsules, and finishing cleaning. I get the crumbs off of the cutting board here, the sourdough crumbs. They're never ending, and I like the cutting board to be clean, so I just sweep them off into the trash before I head out to go check on Rob. He's starting the syrup outside, so I want to make sure that we get to share the process with you guys. Okay, so I made it just in time. As you can see, Rob is just about to pour some sap into the evaporator pan. He's got the fire nice and hot, and he just adds, I don't know, we haven't done this but for a couple of weeks, so we're totally new to it. I'm not sure that we're really experienced enough to be giving any advice, but we just researched online and asked a couple of friends. We're actually borrowing this evaporator pan, and we've just been kind of winging it, and it's worked. We've got about half a gallon, I think now, of some really great syrup, and it's really exciting to do new things and accomplish them. And so we've been storing the sap that we've gathered from the week here just in some of these food safe buckets in our walk-in cooler. I believe it's the 6th day since the last time that we made syrup, so this sap somebody told us, can sit in a fridge for about 6 days until you have to boil it down. So that's why we had to make syrup today. It turned out to be a pretty nice day, and it wasn't too windy. The day before had been extremely windy, so today was a better day. So he's just feeding the fire here. We opted to build a fire pit and evaporate the sap this way, as opposed to using some sort of propane grill. And it just seemed like people were using a lot of propane from the research that we did on YouTube and just online. And we have an abundance of firewood, so this has been working really well. It does take a long time, and you have to watch it. It's a process. So it's not something you can set and forget when you're doing it this way. If you have better equipment, maybe. But the other day when we did this, it took about 8 hours to boil down 25 gallons of sap, which made about 2 pints of syrup. So if we were doing it to make money, it wouldn't be worth it, but it's just another endeavor that we embarked upon to make something for our own homestead and household. And it's really rewarding and fulfilling to see it come to fruition and taste. When we tasted that first batch that we made, it was just like heaven. There's nothing else like it. Okay, so Rob went inside to wash his hands and had to grab this pot that he uses to kind of preheat some of the sap up on the chimney. You'll see that in just a second here. And then he grabs this little sifter that he uses to kind of stir and sift stuff out of the sap that's maybe fallen in there, and an instant read thermometer, which has been really great for lots of things. I think he just got it on Amazon. So here he is pouring some sap into this pot that he just went inside to get. And the theory is that he's kind of preheating this so that he's not pouring cold sap into the evaporator pan. Another tip that I think we saw from another YouTuber. And it's worked really well. I think it was a helpful tip. So he just sets it up on his makeshift chimney there. And as you can see, the fire was so nice and hot, like the evaporation process is working really well already. And this day, I'm not sure if the fire was just hotter. He said he was splitting the logs pretty small to keep the fire burning nice and hot and burning up quicker, I guess. And it only took about 4 hours to make almost 20 gallons of sap down into 2 pints of syrup. Whereas the other day, like I said, it took about 8 hours, which that was our second time doing it ever in our life. So this is our third time. We're improving dramatically, I think, and just finding what works. Okay, so here he is babysitting the sap. He's just kind of stirring it and getting whatever might be floating in it out. And then he goes to check the sap that's preheating up there on the chimney. And I will say, if you choose to do this setup, to not use a nice pot, because this pot has gotten black soot or whatever it is that the fire creates all over it. And a sponge wasn't successfully taking it off. I did get it pretty clean with a Brillo pad, but he just shows you here that it's kind of heating up. He's got that pot almost full, and he won't he won't pour the whole pot into the evaporator pan. He just pours a little bit and then he fills the pot back up so that the pot is never all the way cold again either. And there he was using the instant read thermometer to check the corner of the evaporator pan that has, I don't know how it got off level, but it's been getting evaporated in that spot more quickly than anywhere else. So it's probably the thinnest there. He's checking the temperature there. And then, like I said, the fire is going nice and hot. We found this setup for the fire pit on another person's YouTube channel. It's been working great. And we just kind of built it around the size of the evaporator pan. And the logs are nice and long so that they are burning sort of the length of the evaporator pan. And then our dog Charlie here has been getting to help and be outside a lot, which is good during these long winter days. He gets very anxious when he's inside too much. Okay, so just for reference, it is February 14th. It's Valentine's Day, and it's so beautiful and sunny outside. It is cold. We live in Ohio, and I guess you just kind of never know when syrup season is going to be, so you just have to be ready. It could span, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks maybe even longer. So we actually knew that we wanted to tap trees this year for the first time. So we marked the maple trees back in the fall when the leaves were on and we could identify them. And then Rob got the taps on Amazon and we just used what we could to collect them. We've got some empty gallon jugs here collecting the sap for us, and it's been working out fine. We have some food safe buckets as well, but we didn't have very many of those. And then I went back inside. I try to get some deep squats in every day right now. And so here I am doing a set of those before I get started to making my own laundry soap for the very first time. I actually saw this on another YouTube channel and I'm gonna try it out. I'm almost out of the stuff that we buy from the store and I just thought, why not? Let's try it out and see. It's got to be a lot cheaper if it's effective, and I just like the thought of it. So I actually got all 3 ingredients for it from Walmart, which is where I buy my laundry detergent now. But it was cool to find all 3 things there. And I've actually never used, well, I've probably used Bronner's before, but this is the unscented. And I've never used this Arm & Hammer laundry booster. I've never used this borax laundry booster. And so this is all new. It's kind of cool. I'm just excited to try it out. So to bake 1 gallon, the recipe from the girl that I saw it on was 1 cup of each of these things, the Bronner's, the borax, and the Arm & Hammer. And then she boiled some water to add to those things once they were in something, which I ended up using something way too small. And after realizing this and realizing it wasn't working and that I needed more boiling water to get all the ingredients to dissolve, I switched it to a bigger pot. Rob came in and suggested that I just put it in a big pan. So I did that and everything ended up working out. But the gallon is just water. So it's a cup of each of these things and then topped off with water. But you want to first boil a good amount of water to add to these 3 cups of ingredients to get them to dissolve. And then you can finish filling the gallon off with water, topping it off with water. So the girls' channel that I saw this on was Hopewell Heights. And like I said, I've never made it before. I've never tried it before. And I'm just excited to try it out. I like making my own household stuff. All right, so as you can see here, I was using this pitcher thinking it'll be easy to pour into this plastic gallon jug that I'm going to keep this in because it's just what I had. I thought it would be easy. And the channel of the girl that I saw this on, she made it in a bucket because she actually did like 4 times this amount. But I thought I'd just use an empty gallon jug. And this was not dissolving at all. And I just was trying to use as few dishes as I could. I should have been more patient and boiled more water, and it would have all worked out. But instead, I had to use a lot more dishes because I didn't just start off with a big pan. Okay, so here I am stirring it up, and there's just not enough water, and I'm thinking maybe it'll just take a while to kind of dissolve. And I thought I'll just start putting it in the gallon jug and I can shake it up. Maybe that will help. And this is when Rob came in and noticed what I was doing and asked why I wasn't using a bigger pot to stir and mix everything up and dissolve the borax in the Arm & Hammer. And so I gave in. I got a big pot. I got everything out of the gallon jug that I'd already put in there. And then I put more hot water on to boil, more water on the stove to boil. And patiently dug the stuff out of this jug. So I ended up grabbing a whisk and a potato smasher. I was running out of time, so I was getting ready to go to a mommy walking group at a local school here. And I had my eye on the clock. It wasn't really a big deal, but I was using the potato smasher thinking I could smash up the chunks and get them to dissolve more quickly. So it really did help. And once I got more boiling water in there, it went pretty quick. I'm not sure why I was expecting it all to dissolve within a couple minutes of me stirring hot water in, but it did take probably 15 or 20 minutes. Then I realized that it was lunchtime and I needed to make a snack before I went to this mommy walking group. So I pulled out the yogurt that we made yesterday and I got to try it for the first time. It looks great. I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought it could be pretty thin, which it kind of was compared to store-bought yogurt. And I thought maybe I wouldn't like that, but it was really, really good. So I'm just making a little yogurt bowl here. I'm going to add some sprouted oats for just some extra fiber and some of the maple syrup that we made 2 weeks ago. Our very first batch. We got a pint and a half, I believe, and the first pint is almost gone. Here you can see we've been putting it on our eggs, in lattes in the afternoon, on these yogurt bowls, in milk. It's really good. And then I like to add some fruit. I've got blueberries and strawberries right now, and so I just cut those up and put them on top. And like I said, the yogurt was really delicious, and this makes a great snack. I've been eating a lot of it this last month in my second trimester since my appetite came back. It's a nice way to get some protein, carbs, and fat in. And if you do Greek yogurt, there's really not a lot of fat at all, so if you want to do high protein and carbs. And then I went back over to check the laundry detergent and see if there was any clumps left in the bottom, which it didn't seem like there was. There actually were a couple, but I went ahead and transferred it back into the glass measuring cup so that I could easily pour it into the gallon jug. So because of the way that I had started this project off, I actually ended up almost having the gallon jug full, um, because I had added so much water here and there, hot water, trying to get everything to dissolve. So I just had to top it off a little bit, but I was overall happy with how it turned out. And I'm now editing this video a couple days later and just now trying the laundry detergent on a load of laundry. So I'll keep you guys updated on how I feel about it. It doesn't have any scent, which seems odd for some reason, but I get unscented laundry detergent anyways, so that is just fine. So I'm trying to finish up my snack here and get this all in the jug, and I just give it a good shake, and there is some bubbles there, but she said to let it sit overnight and everything will kind of congeal, and we'll see how it works. So time got away from me, and I've got to get the dogs out to go to the bathroom before I take off to the mommy walking group and hand things off to Rob here as he is finishing up the evaporation process of the sap on the syrup. Okay, so like I said, you cannot leave this process be. You have to babysit it. And after I left, Rob then got hungry too, so he ran inside, made himself something to eat, and he's eating outside by the fire and just keeping an eye on everything, which every time that we have done this, this is the third time in the last 2 weeks, he has eaten outside, because the first time we did it, he did have the one back right corner of the evaporation pan. Everything evaporated from that corner, so it was empty, it didn't have any liquid, and it burned. And that can ruin the whole batch. We haven't noticed a horrible burnt flavor in that batch of syrup, thank goodness, but it's just something to keep in mind. So he's just babysitting it, and like I said earlier, this batch went a lot more quickly than the last two. So I got caught up in town, actually had to run a couple of errands for our business, and he finished the batch while I was gone. So it took about 3 hours outside, and we pull it off and finish it inside so that we can use the stovetop to get a really good temperature. You want it to be like perfect 6 degrees above your boiling temp is what you want to get it up to. So it's just a more controlled way to do that. And then it's only a few minutes inside, so you're not getting all that sticky steam in your house. So he had to get it out of what was left, what we had boiled it down to, out of the evaporation pan by himself this time, which went pretty smoothly, I guess, and has it inside here. He's getting it up to, I forget what ours is, 223 or 224 degrees maybe. And then he's gonna pull it off once it gets up to that temperature. It's not an exact science because we aren't measuring how much moisture is left in this sap, in the existing sap. So we're just using temperature here, and the syrup's turned out great. So once it gets up to that temp, he's going to pull it off, and we'll let it cool down before we start to filter it. We have some jars in the oven here just to sanitize them and warm them up so they don't break when we put the hot syrup into them. And we're taking the syrup off the high heat here and gonna let it cool down to 190 before we start filtering it. And we got just over 2 pints. This time we boiled down about 20 gallons of sap. So we were very happy with that. We've got about half a gallon of syrup now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next video.